Hello, my name's Steve Dawson, and I'm the founder of Asian Market Entry. Asian Market Entry is a company that I founded 10 years ago here in Singapore with the intention to help technology companies grow revenue in the Asia Pacific region. So what happens when we talk about readiness for Asia? Well, Asia is no small task. And the first really challenging question to all companies looking to come to this region is, are you truly ready to expand? One of the core pieces of this is, do you actually have support from the rest of the executive team and potentially the board to actually be behind this expansion? It can't just be you, because inevitably lots of the organization is going to need to be behind it. And that's a really, really core first step to any expansion to this region, which often is so many time zones away. The second point is, are you even ready contractually to start transacting in these regions? And that really goes down to, are your contracts Asia ready in order to do business in this broad market? The third piece is, do you have your marketing content which is localized? That doesn't mean translated, but it does mean, is it adapted for the market in question using the vernacular that you actually need to talk competently to the local market, which might speak in a very different language and terminology than perhaps you're used to in your home markets. Next, we talk about, well, what's the selling approach? In your home markets, you might be used to selling directly. Well, over here in Asia, it's a little bit different. There's actually 49 countries in Asia, believe it or not, as per the Atlas. And as such, it's really essential to have partnering as a core piece of your strategy. And so the question around how you sell, be that directly to end customers and transacting with end customers, transacting online through your website, or then through partnering, is a really important piece of the puzzle that you have to have prepared before you come and have those conversations in market. You could have 1,000 people doing direct sales in this region and you still wouldn't have enough, such is the vast geography of this space. But then within partnering, that also has its nuances. There are distribution companies, there are resellers, there's OEMs where you become essentially a product within a principal vendor, and there's also just simple referral agreements. So what's it going to be? If you're going to come into this region to indeed come into this market with a channel strategy, you really have to have that figured out with those partner categories defined and the playbook as to how you're going to deal with those different types of partners, because they're all geared in slightly different ways. And then the last piece is actually, how are you going to resource that locally? Are you going to have people here from your own headcount? Are you going to just rely on the partners and service that from a distance? Or are you going to actually contract with perhaps a third-party specialist that can do some of that business development execution on your behalf whilst you wait for enough of a business case to indeed hire your own team here? The next piece of this session is to talk about product localization. Asia is vast in size and broad, and really when you look at the number of markets here in terms of where really are we going to be able to sell our product, yes, there are 49 countries in this region. You're probably not going to sell to all 49 of those countries. And I've seen over the years many founders and leaders come here with a very false assumption that in order to be successful here, they must localize their product into the local language. And whilst that is certainly a nice to have and definitely not a bad thing, it's not necessarily true, certainly not in Southeast Asia, that you need to localize your product. It's really going to be essential to speak to local partners, speak with your local pipeline and the direct opportunities that you're working on, and really understand deeply, do you actually need to localize your product either at the end user level or at the administration level? Because you may find out surprisingly that actually you don't need to localize at all. And that of course will reduce the speed of your entry and hopefully give you some more confidence that you can actually be successful in this region without necessarily putting a whole load of R&D and product development on supporting multiple versions of the product for different countries. Partnering readiness is going to be a topic that we cover quite a lot on the fireside chat shortly. But just so that I make sure that I cover these points, in order to partner properly, there are several things that really need to be in place. You need to have a partner program with clearly set out commercial terms, etc. You ideally will be able to talk about how other partners of yours in your home market, or other markets for that matter, have been successful, and tell a case study, not about how well your product's being used by a customer, but how a partner has grown their business by partnering with you. It's partner marketing 101, but it's really important and very few people do it, believe it or not. Also, do you have partner contracts? If you don't, certainly create them. It could be a distribution agreement. It could be a reseller agreement. It could be an OEM agreement. It could be a referral agreement. Be ready, because those different types of partners will want different types of agreements, and frankly, they can't all be put into one umbrella. Sales enablement tools and collateral are really key to partners. In order for partners to be successful, you're going to need to provide playbooks. You're going to need to show evidence of how you've done deals yourself in your home markets so that your partners can be mentored based on that and basically follow from your example. But the only way they're going to be able to do that is to document it. And that comes in the form of sales tools, assets, potentially some tools, some videos and such like. But enabling the sales force of partners is a really key piece of what you need to do. It's often under budgeted for, but ultimately your partners are an extension of your sales team. And the only way they're going to be successful, just like the only way your salespeople will be successful, is if you enable them properly. Also ensure that you've allocated partner marketing budget for events, trade shows, focused events that partners might be organized. Often it's just a budget item that is missed. Also figure out, well, how are you going to actually track that activity from partners in this new region? What's the deal registration process? How are you going to ensure that from a channel conflict point of view, we've got one partner owning an opportunity for how long and not another? Another important step of this is you may well be receiving inbound opportunities coming in either from the website or elsewhere. And so it's important also that when you're establishing a partner network here, that you come bearing gifts. It's really important that as a quid pro quo to a partner taking on your product, you could also be seen to be offering them opportunities that perhaps you've received, can't manage yourself because you're from a distance. And that act of giving is a really good step as a first act of trust building certainly when establishing the new partnerships. And then the last piece is, well, how do you handle that channel conflict? When that happens, what are you going to do? What's the playbook? You know it's going to happen eventually. It might be that to begin with you say, well, we're just going to have one partner per country, not exclusive. Absolutely never do exclusivity if you can possibly help it. But maybe just to start on that to avoid this channel conflict scenario, at least give partners confidence that they are the only partner in the region that you're working with. I mentioned the need for your marketing team to help localize the message. This is also really important. It's imperative that you have good current case studies from your home market in order to give confidence that your product's going to be a good product for this region too. That building on trust and buying off trust is just a really, really big thing in this region. I would suggest you have at least 2, ideally more than that, documented that you can speak to. And best case scenario, try to tie those case studies to this market. I appreciate you might not have customers in Asia yet. And so we'll say, well, how do we do that? How do we build an Asia context into an existing customer story? Well, you never know. If you actually just dig a bit deeper, you may find out that there's 1 or 2 users over here. You may find out that existing customers of yours have already got a branch office over here. Claim it, because any hook that you can bring in to make your product relevant to this market so that it just lands and resonates that much better is important. And the fact that just the act of trying and attempting to do that is a really important step in showing this market that you've thought about it and that you care. You're not coming in with a big European story or a big American story and how great your product's been there. Yes, you're talking about that as a core concept, but you're really letting the market know that you care about this market. You're treating this market with the respect that this market would expect. And you only do that by showing commitment to the region, by at least trying to understand how this would apply to this market. And so even if after trying to create a link to those existing customers of yours elsewhere and you can't find one, it's possible, no matter how hard you try, but it could also be through a holding company, it could be through a venture investment company, just try to find a link. But if you can't, at least create a page, a piece of collateral that can explain to the target market here about why Asia is important to you. That will show commitment, it will show that you're thinking about it, and ideally within that content, within that asset to use, you will at least show before you've come to this region that you've thought about it, you care about it, and you're treating the market with the respect that it deserves. That completes my session today. I hope you found that useful, and I'm looking forward to the next section of this.